I, Luna, was already suffocating under life's weight. 3 years after college I job hopped so many times my savings were still in the red. I finally reached a weekend, thinking I'd swing by Riverside for some markdown therapy and maybe patch up my mood. The second I stepped inside, fate threw me smack into Brianna, my college arch-nemesis. She still walked around nose first, flanked by her little entourage, never a good sign. Well, if it isn't Luna. Brianna's voice scraped like nails on a blackboard. Heard you're between gigs again. Figures. Someone like you. What decent job could you land? Her hangers-on burst into shrill giggles that ping-ponged around my skull and churned my stomach. I kept my face blank, curling my lips into a faint smile. Yeah. Rotten luck for me. Not like you. Brianna, you're riding high. I was mentally rolling my eyes. Daddy's money isn't a personality trait. My play-poor answer caught her off guard. Displeasure flickered across her face. Then the queen bee mask snapped back on. She thrust out her chest, waving the designer bag she just bought like a trophy. Some people can grind forever and still never afford one of these. Her chorus chimed in, right, that bag costs more than Luna makes in half a year. Heat flared in my chest, but I bottled it, stayed meek, and started plotting payback. Right then my phone chimed, an unknown number. Perfect escape hatch. I answered loud and clear, hello, Caldwell. Sure, no problem, anytime you want to meet. At the name Caldwell, Brianna's smugness froze. Suspicion glittered in her eyes. She leaned in, trying to eavesdrop, so I turned my back. Great, Caldwell, tomorrow at 3, Cafe XX. I'll be punctual. I hung up, spun around, and savored her curious, frustrated stare. Luna, who exactly is this Caldwell? She pressed. Arrogance gone. I lifted a shoulder. All mystery. Just a business contact who needs a favor. I prayed the imaginary Caldwell would materialize. Otherwise my bluff was toast. Brianna looked me up and down, unconvinced but out of ammo. We exchanged weak pleasantries, and I booked it out of there. On the trudge home I replayed everything. Brianna wouldn't let it drop. She'd dig. But I didn't know any Caldwell. Just a desperate stab at dignity. I let myself into my cramped, dim studio apartment, collapsed on the bed, and stared at the stain on the ceiling. Life's pressure felt like granite on my ribs. Brianna's taunt was only one more splinter in the dark. Still, I swore the day would come when everyone who'd sneered would have to look up at me. The very next morning the gears of fate clanked into motion. I showed up at Cafe XX expecting a prank, but in the corner sat a man in a bespoke suit, frost in his gaze, Adrian, the man who'd reroute my life. When he spotted me he arched an eyebrow, unreadable emotion flashing across his face. I inhaled, crossed the room, and slid into the chair opposite. Caldwell, I'm Luna. I fought to keep my voice steady. My trembling hands betrayed me. He studied me for a long beat, then asked, you're short on cash? The low, magnetic question rippled through me. I bit my lip and spilled everything, Grandpa's illness, my debts. Adrian listened, silent, then spoke the 2 syllables that rewrote my future deal. I stared, equal parts wary and hopeful. Why did this enigmatic man want a flash marriage? And what secrets trailed him? From the day Adrian and I signed the license, life turned technicolor. I left my dingy studio and moved into the Caldwell family mansion. Scrambling to pay rent felt like a past incarnation. In what began as a paper marriage, Adrian and I quietly kindled something real. Tonight he told me we were attending a business soiree, crucial for his career, and he needed his wife on his arm. I dressed carefully, slipping into the gown he'd chosen, liquid silk against my skin, the mirror reflecting someone almost aristocratic. The ballroom blazed with crystal chandeliers, champagne flutes winking, tuxedos and couture swirling in elegant orbit. I looped my arm through Adrian's, nerves crackling beneath my excitement. Then a familiar razor voice sliced through the hum. Well, Luna. I turned. Brianna again, poured into a scarlet backless gown, a diamond necklace blazing, same minions plus a paunchy, oily older man clinging to her side. She raked her stare over me, sneer in place. Thought you'd snagged some hotshot mogul. That dress is cute. Then again, someone like you could never mingle with real players. Her entourage twittered on cue. Fury spiked in my gut, yet I kept my smile polished, just as Adrian's brows drew together, displeasure icing his gaze. Just then, the man beside Brianna spoke up. Bri, who's this? Brianna looped her arm through his like a kitten begging for cream. Sweetie, this is my college classmate, totally average back then, and I guess nothing's changed. The man let out a small, mocking laugh. I drew a slow breath, ready to answer, but Adrian beat me to it, voice low and ironclad. Miss, I think you've misunderstood my wife. The word wife bleached Brianna's face. Her eyes bulged, ping-ponging between Adrian and me. I'm Adrian of Caldwell, he continued. Perhaps the name rings a bell. Whispers erupted around us. Caldwell royalty was standing right there in the flesh. Brianna's entourage froze. She kept bluffing. You say she's your wife, Prove it. Adrian's smile was pure frost. He pulled our marriage certificate from his pocket and flicked it open in front of her nose. Evidence enough. Or would you like it notarized? Brianna's cheeks cycled scarlet to chalk. Her date finally realized he'd stepped on a landmine and tugged her sleeve to bail. Leaving so soon? Adrian's voice dropped another 10 degrees. Insult my wife and just stroll away? The guy apologized in a rush. Caldwell, we didn't know, please. Our mistake. Brianna stared at the floor, silent. Adrian glanced at me. I gave a tiny nod. Then consider this forgiven, because my wife is generous, he said. Next time, watch your mouths. They scurried off like roaches when the lights flip on. Watching them disappear felt better than champagne. Adrian turned. Gentle again. You okay? I smiled and shook my head. With you here. Never been better. He pinched my cheek softly. Nobody messes with my girl. That night welded us together, but I knew it was only chapter 1. More tests were coming. I wasn't the old pushover Luna anymore. On Adrian's arm I was steeling myself, growing sharper and bolder by the day. Marriage to Adrian flipped the game board. The girl who once sprinted to keep up with life now woke up in a mansion to barista-level lattes. Every morning he cooked breakfast, sleeves rolled up, eyes smiling like sunrise. However late his day ran, he fought to make it home for dinner. Afterward we'd stroll the garden, trading gossip and quiet jokes. One lazy afternoon I said, I want to try working at Caldwell. I expected a polite veto. He only paused, then shrugged. Go for it. If anyone hassles you, whistle. I grinned. Please. I'm a ninja. That was how I became the newest nobody in marketing. I kept my ring finger bare and my last name quiet. Coworkers figured I was just another rookie. Most were civil, except my manager, Leo, who acted as if my existence ruined his feng shui. Day 1, he dropped a landslide of files on my desk and demanded them done before the lights go out. The tasks were mind-numbing and endless. 48 hours would have been tight. My stomach sank. Then fury rose. Fine. Bring it. I stayed until security kicked me out at midnight, finished 90%, and handed it in before he hit his second espresso the next morning. Leo flipped through pages with theatrical disgust. Margins wrong. Logic fuzzy. Redo the lot. My vision blurred. I bit my lip until I tasted copper. I asked for specifics. He waved me off. Figure it out. Or can't you? I swallowed the scream and went back to my cubicle. If I lost it now, he owned me. Days slid into weeks, his knives getting sharper. At the weekly meeting I pitched an influencer plus digital pop-up idea I'd workshopped all weekend. I'd barely shut my laptop when Leo chuckled. Luna, did you confuse us with a charity? Cute, but delusional. Titters circled the table. Heat scalded my ears. I stared at my slideshow and swore I'd make him choke on that laugh. That night Adrian texted, how was the grind? I spilled everything. Leo, files, public mockery. His reply glowed on my screen. Chill, baby. I've got this. I had no clue what this meant, but my money was on the house. The next morning Caldwell called an all-hands meeting. Adrian walked in personally, stepped to the podium, and radiated power. His gaze ice cold. Lately some ugly habits have taken root here. I suggest every one of you take note. His voice rolled through the conference room and every throat went dry. Then he looked toward marketing. Leo, as department head, not only failed to lead, he deliberately tormented new hires and poisoned morale. Effective immediately. Leo is suspended pending review. Leo's face drained of color and he slumped back in his chair like a puppet with its strings cut. The announcement detonated a bombshell. Mouths fell open. The room erupted in frantic whispers, and eyes darted in stunned disbelief. Those who had mocked Luna at Leo's urging now sat chalk-white, avoiding every glance, praying the floor would swallow them. Adrian took Luna's hand and led her to the front, his authoritative stare sweeping the hall. Let me be clear, at Caldwell, competence and character rule, not petty tyranny. The words cracked like a whip. He softened as he turned to her. Luna, you are hereby promoted to head of marketing. I trust you completely. Luna's eyes flew wide. She had not seen it coming. Employees gasped. Then a scattering of applause rose and swelled. Afterward Luna drifted out in a daze until Adrian pinched her cheek. Grinning, don't you believe in yourself? I sure do. She wrinkled her nose. You might have warned me. This job is huge. He pulled her close. You'll shine. And whatever storms hit, hubby's got your back. On her first official day Luna discovered marketing's rot went deeper than feared. Leo had packed the team with cronies, sideline talent, and rewarded flatterers. She started small, quietly logging performance, shifting assignments, and elevating the truly able. The losers Supervisors grumbled, spread rumors, and dragged their feet. Luna fumed but stayed patient, bolstering the marginalized and gathering evidence. One night while filing, she uncovered a dusty ledger from Leo's tenure. Several payouts looked fishy. Instinct told her it was the threat of something bigger, and she began to tug. Adrian saw the toll. She came home late, eyes ringed with fatigue, still juggling Caldwell's core portfolio. He showed up after 10 with a steaming late-night snack and bent over spreadsheets beside her. When the numbers hit a dead end and she drooped, he cradled her and whispered, "Easy, baby. Let's look from a fresh angle. The clue is there." Under his steadiness, the maze felt less forbidding, and she dived back in. Weeks of digging proved Leo had siphoned kickbacks through outside vendors, selling Caldwell short. Luna laid the folder before Adrian. His face darkened like thunder. "He'll pay for this." Within days, Leo faced criminal charges, and his lackeys were booted, some escorted out by security. The purge opened floodgates of energy. Luna redesigned workflows, paired mentors with rookies, and rolled out bonuses tied to real metrics. Exiles of the old regime blossomed. Proposals flew. Laughter replaced whispers. Every morning Luna strode the corridors, tablet tucked under her arm, pitching ideas, crunching numbers, grinning at the buzz she had set loose. At the monthly executive session, Luna debuted as department head, crisp in charcoal separates, charts glowing behind her. She walked directors through campaign wins and next quarter roadmaps. When she finished, a silver-haired veteran exclaimed, "Sharp, decisive, Caldwell's future looks bright." From the head of the table, Adrian watched, pride and love flickering in his eyes. That evening he waited by the elevator. In the back seat, she nestled against his shoulder. "My palms were swimming," she confessed. He laced her fingers. "You were flawless, as always." At the mansion, he cooked seared salmon and poured rose. Candlelight danced across their smiles as they claimed a rare quiet hour. Tranquility, however, was brief. Field reports warned that a rival conglomerate was preparing a nationwide blitz aimed squarely at Caldwell's share. Pressure clamped around Luna's ribs. A single misstep could cost millions. She summoned marketing's best minds for an emergency session. Whiteboards filled. Coffee grew cold. Yet every concept carried holes they could not ignore. Luna walked back into her office, brows knitted, staring blankly at the data on her screen. Seeing her like that twisted Adrian's heart. He stepped in, brewed her a steaming cup of tea, pulled a chair beside her, and pored over the documents together. They debated past midnight until a brilliant counterplan finally clicked. Luna sprang up, threw her arms around Adrian, and exclaimed, "Honey, I'd be lost without you." Adrian chuckled, smoothing her hair. "We're a team. Remember, we face everything together." Under Luna's lead, every last person in marketing hustled day and night. Weeks of grind later, Caldwell's campaign exploded into a smash hit. They held rival brands at bay and snatched an even bigger slice of the Riverside market. The whole building buzzed like a beehive. To toast marketing's triumph, Adrian threw a glittering victory gala. Crystal chandeliers shimmered overhead and a live quartet floated through jazz standards as Adrian, hand in hand with Luna, glided into the ballroom. Every eye in the room followed them. On stage, Adrian delivered a heartfelt speech, praising marketing's hustle and spotlighting Luna's leadership. Applause thundered. Luna's cheeks glowed scarlet as she gazed up at him, pride and happiness flooding her chest. When the last champagne flute was empty, Adrian and Luna strolled home under a wash of moonlight that stretched their shadows down the quiet sidewalk. Luna squeezed his fingers. "Back when I first met you in that little cafe, I never pictured us here." Adrian brought her hand to his lips. "You earned every inch of this, Luna. Whatever comes next, we walk it together." They shared a slow, deep kiss beneath the silver moon. Sure, the worst was behind them. They had no idea a family storm was already brewing. Days later, Adrian's mother, the formidable Caldwell, arrived unannounced. Impeccably suited, flawless makeup, eyes sharp with appraisal. She settled onto the living room sofa and accepted a cup of tea from the housekeeper. "Luna, dear, I hear you're making waves in marketing," Caldwell began, voice smooth as silk. "Still, a woman must remember her place is first at home. Perhaps you shouldn't let Caldwell consume you." Luna's stomach tightened. The warning was clear. Too much visibility might tarnish the family name. She answered with a careful smile. "Mom, family always comes first. I'm only trying to lighten Adrian's load. I promise I'll keep the balance." Adrian jumped in. "Luna's talent is a huge asset to Caldwell, and we're still juggling takeout and movie nights just fine." Caldwell's manicured brows lifted a fraction, dissatisfaction flickering across her face, but she let the subject drop. Inside Caldwell's glass walls, success had painted a fresh target on Luna's back. At the next cross-department meeting meeting Derek, head of sales, launched a calculated salvo. "Luna, your campaign numbers look cute," he said, flashing a cold grin, "but the follow-up pipeline is a monster. Sales is already running thin. Maybe marketing should own the entire after-sale grind?" Luna met his stare without blinking. "Derek, we've always been partners. Marketing will supply every support you need, but roles still matter. Let's map out a plan that plays to each team's strengths and move on." Derek's smirk collapsed. He scribbled something furiously and moved along. That night Luna spilled the whole mess into Adrian's chest while he traced slow circles on her back. "Ignore the noise. Babe, you're crushing it. If anyone keeps pushing, send them to me." Safe in his arms, she felt the day's grime rinse away. Weeks later Caldwell zeroed in on a contract that could redefine its future. Luna and Adrian camped in the conference room perfecting every slide. On the eve of submission, Luna spotted a rival's teaser that looked eerily familiar. Pieces of Caldwell's confidential pitch were floating outside the firewall. Panic shot through her. She sprinted to Adrian. Side by side they traced the breach to a longtime marketing staffer who'd taken a bribe. Adrian's jaw went steel hard. He called the police himself and watched officers march the man out. Then he and Luna pulled an all-nighter with the team, rebuilding the deck from scratch. Their fresh concept nailed the presentation. Caldwell won the bid and a record-breaking retainer. Profits soared, but bigger than the balance sheet glow was the quiet certainty growing between them. One sun-splashed Saturday Adrian tugged Luna back to the cafe where they'd first collided. In the courtyard scented with roasting beans he dropped to one knee and produced a velvet box. The diamond inside caught the light like a fallen star. "Luna, from the minute you spilled coffee on my notes you lit up every corner of my life. Marry me, let me spend the rest of mine protecting yours." Tears brimmed. She nodded hard enough to shake loose a happy laugh. "Yes, of course I will." Applause erupted from nearby tables as they clung to each other, hearts sinking to the same bright future. A brand new chapter opening under the clear blue sky.